Hello children, how are you all doing? Hope you're all happy and safe and keeping good health. Let us today discuss about a lesson named Weather and Climate from Class 5 Social. This lesson, you can see as the title defines, it is about weather and climate. So through this PPT, I'm going to explain you what is the weather and what is the climate and what are the different aspects or the factors which change weather and climate. Okay, so first slide here, you can see the two different, topics, the major topics of the lesson, the concepts of the lesson, weather and climate. So what is the weather? Weather is actually the condition of a place and it changes every day. Okay. And climate is the condition of a place which remains same throughout the year. Means it remains almost the same for 3 months, 4 months, the season. We can talk here about the season of a year, seasons, different seasons. So climatic changes means different seasonal changes, and weather means it is the change of the condition of a day. So both weather and climate influences our lives. So how does it influence? We'll know here more better. See, weather is a short-term variation in atmosphere. Okay, it can be good, it can be bad, suddenly. So weather was good yesterday, weather is fine, was bad, very bad yesterday. So you can say in that way. So it changes every day. Climate doesn't change over a longer period of time. So it can change after 3 months or 4 months. So that's why it is called the climate. It talks about mainly the seasons. So and it becomes different everywhere. So it doesn't be the same every time. For longer period of months, it remains the same. So the next slide talks about what is actually a weather is. So weather is all the conditions of Earth's atmosphere at one time and place. The atmosphere is the layer of gases that surrounds the Earth. So here the atmospherical pressure, the rainfall, the wind or the air or pressure or humidity. Okay, so all these, the temperature, all these are the different factors which changes the weather for a day. Suppose suddenly it becomes very hot in the afternoon, morning it is cool. Again at night the temperature cools down. And sometimes when the humidity is very high during the rainy season, the monsoon season, the precipitation is too high. That means when we sweat a lot during summer or during humid atmosphere, then we can say the weather is bad. Same way, so air pressure, wind, the direction of the winds cools down suddenly, makes the place very cool suddenly. So all these are the conditions of a weather which gets changed. Now we'll talk about the climatic changes. So what are the climatic changes? Climate is the usual weather of a place. So usual weather where it changes according to the seasons. A place might be mostly warm and dry in summer season and same place can be cool and wet in the winter season. So sometimes it is very cool. We know it. Summers are very hot and winters are very cool. So that means it remains almost same. The temperature is almost same throughout the summer season and it is almost same throughout the winter season. But sometimes it becomes very extreme during the summer season and becomes very cool, snowy also during the winter season. So the climatic changes in a day also makes a difference in the lives of the people. Now, what is the major difference of the between the weather and climate? The day-to-day atmospheric conditions of a particular place with respect to factors such as rainfall, humidity, temperature, speed of the wind, all these affects the temperature of a day or the rainfall of a day of a place. We are talking about the day-to-day of a place, day-to-day conditions of a place. So all these factors like rainfall, humidity, temperature, wind speed, all these affects the temperature of the place, whether it should be cool or it should be hot during the day. And average weather condition of a place taken over a longer period of time, that means the seasonal changes that comes under the climate. So weather conditions varies at intervals during a few hours also. Morning sudden when it is very cool, suddenly it becomes very hot during the afternoon. So that is the variation of the temperatures in a single day. But climate doesn't change almost such a variation throughout the day. So climatic changes are only, I told you before also children, climatic changes means the changes in the seasons. Now, in this weather data are the observations recorded in a specific time of the day, and climate refers to the average value of several elements of weather during the period of 30 more than 30 years. So mostly the climatic changes are data is collected according to the number of years, lot of number of years, and weather conditions, weather forecast are taken during the day of the time or the hours of the day. Now, so other conditions like just I told you, weather may involve one condition of the atmosphere. It talks about the conditions of the atmosphere with like temperature, precipitation, all this. Okay, weather occurs for the shorter period of time, climate occurs for a longer period of time. Weather changes daily and climate doesn't change daily, it takes longer period of time, and weather changes within a short time. Same thing is repeated. Okay, now it is a scientific study of weather is called, the scientific study of weather is called meteorology or meteorologistic studies of weather, and scientific study of climate is called climatology or climatologist studies of climate. Now, weather and climate, again, there is one more difference. Weather is temporary condition and climate is overall weather conditions of the period of year. Now, factors which affect the climate, latitudes, longitude, latitudes, altitudes, distance from the sea, pressure of wind, atmospheric pressure and wind system, the flow of the winds and the oceanic currents, all these changes the climate of the climate for a period of time. Okay, latitudes, now we will discuss each one. The factors affecting climatic changes, just now I told you, the humidity of a place, whether suppose it is very sweating like that, then it is the humidity, the temperature increases suddenly at that time. So air pressure also at that time will be very high. A temperature over the oceans, the oceans, near the oceans, the temperature cools down, and sea surface also causes lot of increase and decrease of the temperature. So above the high level, above the level of the sea, when we go higher above the level of the sea, suppose we are climbing mountains and all, it is very very cool over there. And when we go below the sea towards the when we go towards the sea or to the plains and all, the climate is very hot at the plains. You know about glaciers. Glaciers also very cool places. Okay, so temperature over the land is hot and over the mountains is very cool. So altitude affects over there. So climatic changes also affect the like distance from the sea also. Just now I explained you altitude means the heights. Distance of the sea, distance from the sea. Suppose you are staying away from the sea, that place will be little hotter, and if you are staying near the sea, it cools down very easily. The temperature of that area cools down very easily. Where suppose when we are living to at the sea, ocean, living at the edges of the sea or oceans. Proximity of the towards the equator means suppose when we are staying near to the equator like African countries or the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, the torrid zone which receives the direct sunlight, those are very near, those are the two hot regions. So such proximity means the nearness. So nearness towards the equator increases the temperature and affects the climate, making it summer throughout the year. Next, we move to the slide where same thing, distance from the equator. When the sun rays falls vertically towards on the equator and on the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, these two the temperate torrid zones of the Earth, and it is very very when it is diagonal towards away from the equator, the temperatures are cool. So when the sun's rays fall slanting. Okay, from northern hemisphere and southern north pole and south pole, they receive slanting sun rays, and so it is the temperature is very very cool over there. Now, distance from the sea and ocean, I just now told you, children. When we move away from the land, the water cools cooler than land. So water heats up and cools down more slowly than land. So summer season, it is very warmer climate. Okay, land gets warmer, and winter season, land gets and water gets cooler. So during this during at the oceanic places or the what you say the coastal areas, the winters are cold, very cool winters, and summers are very hot. Next slide. So next slide is about this distance from the sea, again explained over here, how the temperature increases and it cools down, and warm air rises. Rising air helps to form clouds. It is like called as water cycle. Okay, so the water from the ocean evaporates, rivers evaporates, and sea breezes brings the air also, and this air brings the cool air. Some when the people who lives at the coastal areas enjoy the climate over there because it is not neither hot nor cold. The directions of winds, just I told you, from the ocean, the winds they move towards the land, and land is hot at the time. So when this cool breeze enters the land, here this area, the coastal area, becomes little cool, and it escapes afterwards to the air and becomes very hot. Even similarly, the hotter air enters the sea and it cools down, and cool breeze we get during the night. So daytime the it is warm air and it is hot, and during night it is cool breeze at the coastal areas. Okay, so this is the same thing explained over here, over the sea and over the land. So the over the sea, at the coastal area, the movement of the earth wind starts at the equator where it is hot. So always the cool winds move towards the hotter winds, hotter places, and it makes the earth very hot. Okay, cool winds bring the cool winds. Okay, but they become hot when they enter the hot areas. Next is elevation. Elevation means the height. Height, the temperature or the climate changes when we move towards the mountains. So the temperature decreases when we go up towards the mountains. It can be even the 0 degrees also. You can see here the temperature at 6,000 feet. The temperature is very low. Minus also. It can go to minus also. Okay, and you can see the down level, the middle level of 3,000 feet, the temperature is little hot, and very hot when it is in the sea level or the surface level. Okay, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, it is very hot. So like this, the vapor pressure decreases, relative humidity increases. So now we move towards the heat zones. The major heat zones of the earth are towards the equator, 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degrees south. These two, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, is called as the hot regions, and it is called the torrid zone. And the between the frigid zone, the second, the middle zones, that is temperate zone in the northern hemisphere and temperate zone in the southern hemisphere, that is 66.5 degree north and 66.5 degrees south. It is the moderate. Temperate means moderate, not too cold and not too hot areas. That is called as temperate zone. And when we move towards the North Pole and when we move towards the South Pole, it is very cool over there, around very freezing temperature. Okay, it's too cool, snowy and freezing point. So this is called as frigid zone. So North Pole has frigid zone, which is the shown in blue color. It is very cold. So these two zones are called as frigid zones. They are similar, but they are named as frigid zone. And the same way here also, hot is, the tropic zones are very hot. They're called torrid also. Temperate zones are warm and they are called as moderate. And polar zones are very cold and they are the frigid zones. So hope children you have understood all the three zones of the heat zones of the earth. These are very important. This is a very important concept in the topic of this lesson, children. Please revise it again and try to know more about it. Hope you have understood my concepts of this lesson, the important concepts of the lesson, the heat zones and also the climate and the wind. Thank you very much, children.